It wasn't long ago that you were watching the door and the lights, if you had sensors, automatically coming on when those witches and hobgoblins, spacemen and angels and fairies and Dracula's escapees all appeared at the door for trick-or-treat. From ghoulies and ghosties and long-leggedy beasties and things that go bump in the night. Oh Lord, preserve us. The acknowledgements to Robbie Burns. Halloween is now a memory, although I have to admit when I drove out of West Guildford this morning, I saw that they had re-inflated the Great Pumpkin and one of the ghosts and one of the Dracula escapees on the front lawn. Halloween was, a few days ago now, but there it was, as large as life. And of course, a few doors down the road, Christmas lights. So we do move fast in this land of ours. Yeah, they've all gone now. Candies and costumes have all been and gone as well, probably. But not always the element of fear. A man was going to a Halloween party dressed in the costume of the devil. On his way to the party, it started to rain, so he ducked into a church where a revival was in progress. At the sight of his devil's costume, people scattered, panicking, exiting the church through doors and even windows. One lady got her coat sleeve caught in the arm of one of the seats, and as the man came closer, she pleaded, "Satan, I've been a member of this church for 20 years, but I've really been on your side." All the time? Well, we may laugh at the fears of others, but when we are afraid of something, it's no laughing matter. Feathers. Well, what's wrong with feathers? A lady, when a little girl, was visiting the chicken coop with her mother. Mother was gathering the eggs when suddenly a hen took flight right into the girl's face with the feathers and everything. Since that day, feathers still really upset her, even in adulthood. Other folk are fearful of spiders and snakes and mice, closed-in spaces, flying, boats, heights. And so we all face our fears in one way or another, but no one really escapes them. A minister went hunting up in the mountains. Suddenly a large grizzly bear chased him, frightening enough to be chased by a bear, but even more so, not finding a place where he could really escape. But there in front of him was a large tree, but the lowest branch was 15 foot above the ground. Making a frantic leap, he leapt for it, but missed it. However, he grabbed it on the way down. But I do not think we should dispense with fear. Why? Because fear keeps us from being run over by automobiles, or being content with unhealthy sanitary conditions, or from disobeying doctors' orders. The fear of ignorance challenges us to get an education. The fear of war's destruction pushes mankind to try and work together. It was reputed to have been said that in the 6th century BC, when the Buddhist nations would declare war on each other, the only people who fought were the generals, and they would sit at a table playing chess. Whoever won the chess game won the war. Now, isn't that a good way to settle differences? Nobody gets hurt, no property gets damaged, nobody goes into famine or gets tortured or anything like that. Just win a chess game and the problem is resolved. Fear keeps us alert and cautious. Let no man or woman despise fear or call it wholly evil, for it has many meanings, and no good life is possible without its helpful presence. But that's only half the story. What ruin fear can work in a man or a woman's life when fear gets loose and takes over. The Master spoke about fear all the time. The fear we have sometimes of growing old, fear of others, fear of change, fear of illness, fear of poverty. Actually, I'm told there are people who are afraid of fear. They are called people who have phobophobia. Did you know that? I didn't either. Phobophobia, the fear of being afraid. People who live in a self-made prison and then they throw away the key. A terrible existence. My first pastoral charge down in Consicon, Prince Edward County, I was informed that there was a lady who had lost her husband and could I go and see her? Well, in those days, when a minister is appointed to a pastoral charge, he's really, or she's really on call 24/7. Time and time again, my wife and I had to rearrange our schedules because something has come up on the charge and that took priority. And so when I got settled in, I went to see her. We had quite a conversation. Surely, yes, she had lost her husband, but very quickly I learned that she had lost her husband some 6 years ago, but had not dealt with it. She and he were very active in the community. So they were at the card games, they were at the Legion, they were here, they were there, they were the other. But she never went back to church because that was the last place her husband was, the day of his funeral. But in a way, she was using this as an excuse for not facing up to the loss or trying to really adjust her life to the point where the Spirit of God can move back into it. No, this is bad, but go everywhere else. You as well as I do, you see things or you do things that trigger a response for something that happened many years ago. Or you scent wood burning in a special way that reminds you of a campfire when you were camping out many years ago. Some little thing triggers this and triggers that. These are the memories of the past. And it is something that you relish in most cases. And it enables you to say, yeah, that was good. And you move on. But to do as she has done, made herself this prisoner, and then thrown away the key. There was no sense in my going back to see her again because she had her mind made up, and she did not care to participate in the life of the church. I left the door open, but she closed it. So this is not good at all. We cannot avoid fear unless we have a clean and upright moral life. In Holy Writ, Adam ate the forbidden fruit, and when he heard God walking in the garden, he said, I was afraid and I hid myself. Then if we sin a little more, the sin entraps us into a loathsome habit. Then we are fearful of being found out, with sleepless nights and haggard days, or even running away from that which dogs our footsteps. Psychologists will tell you, when you have a problem, you do one of two things. Either you face head on, or you run from it. There's no middle road. You either face up the problem, okay, what am I going to do about this? Who should I go and see and talk to about it? Who can I have confidence in to talk to about it? Or else we say, well, I'll deal with it sometime, and it's there, like an albatross on your shoulders. And until you deal with it, there is no escape. Secondly, another arena of fear is caused when we try to face the stress and strains of life without interior resources, if you will. Thus, we cannot cope. During World War II, my parents and myself and my sister lived in Liverpool. At the outbreak of the war, Mum and Dad had the option of sending us away into the country or even as far away as the States. But they decided that we would be together, live together, and die together, necessary. And we carried on. And never once in those years of the war that I remember as a child did I ever see fear in the faces of Mum and Dad. They faced up to the difficulty, and we tried to make our lives as normal as possible. When we went to school, we went to regular classes, hoping that the air raid siren would blare just during math class so we could go to the shelter and get away from the class. even them who were calculated. And if you saw pens, fountain pens, which of course were quite fat in those days, you left them alone and looked for a policeman. Because Nazism, the Germans had a habit of dropping anti-personnel mines, and they were just about the size of your fountain pen. Not like the ballpoint pens we have today, but the fountain pen. And you could pick it up, lose an eye, or an arm, or a face, or kill you. And so we were always warned as children to watch that. Because if you didn't, the results could be disastrous. And this, of course, made us, I think at the same time, appreciate the police. People in authority. We trusted them to know what to do in a situation. So these were the things that we had to contend with. But for the most part, everybody stuck to their guns and kept on keeping on. Mum and Dad, of course, were annoyed at times when Jerry came over with his bombing, because that meant another dinner dried up or cold as we spent the time in the area shelters. But much of our difficulty regarding fear is brought on by living life without adequate spiritual resources. I think I told you about the new book called The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. Does anybody know that one? Yeah, she was in a concentration camp with her sister. I don't remember which one, but one of them, in Germany during the war. And she and her sister were Christians. And they were praying each night, thanking God for the fleas and the lice and the bed bugs, because these critters kept the German guards away from the women. So there's something to be thankful in the midst of adversity, in difficulty. And the Viet Cong in the Vietnamese War announced the fact that as far as they were concerned, the quality of spirituality in the hearts of many of the American prisoners was impressive because of their relationship with God, even in the midst of torture, in the midst of the terrible conditions that they lived in until the end of the war. Our religious faith, then, should furnish us with the spiritual tools to overcome fear. When it whimpers, "I cannot do what I should," the Spirit replies, "Yes, you can." When fear complains, "I cannot stand what I must endure," the Spirit says, "Yes, you can." Fear is hypnotic, mesmerizes. It tells us over and over, "You cannot." And there are those today who propagate fear-mongering that will eventually lead to the destruction of the person, of the family, of the community, of the country, and of the nations of the world, because fear is an ogre. So what can we do about it? The cure for for fear is faith. Faith is creative and produces what faith has in our faith in God. And His love for us enables us to grow and to face that fear head on. We have the strength. And we are told in Scripture that God never gives us anything we can't handle. The young boy had reached the age when he could be admitted to the tribe as a qualified hunter, as a man. Rites of passage, I guess. But he had to go to a certain ritual to be confirmed. From a boy to a man, he found a lonely place in the forest where he had to stay overnight. The darkness, black as pitch, the animals, the loneliness, strange noises, fears, the longest night in the young lad's life. All alone. Finally, the dawning of the new day arrived, and as the mist cleared, he saw, not far away, the figure of his father. He had never really been alone, for his father had been there watching over the young lad all the time. So does our Heavenly Father look after us, watches us over our days, over our nights, in the midst of the good times, in the midst of the fears, because with Him all things are possible. And that is possible because He loves you. He loves you.